What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and we're here with another fantasy booking video, and it is of the first ever AEW Continental Classic. Now, I will say that this is technically a part one of a two-part video, because originally I planned on doing a fantasy booking for the World's End pay-per-view event, but prior to the World's End pay-per-view event, the AEW Continental Classic starts, and I am kind of giving y'all a bit extra. This is Thanksgiving week, and I plan on having a video every day this week. Don't hold me to it. That is the plan. But today, Monday, part one of the World's End fantasy booking, as I'll be booking the Continental Classic in this video, and then stay tuned tomorrow, come Tuesday, and I will have my how I would book the World's End pay-per-view event. So I do have a handful of disclaimers. That was disclaimer 1. Disclaimer 2. If I do not have certain participants involved in this tournament, that more than likely means I have them involved in something else on the pay-per-view event. So it's kind of a cheap plug to tune into the fantasy booking for that tomorrow. So there's that. And disclaimer 3. I am still a little confused. Not entirely, but the winner of this tournament will be the first ever Continental Classic winner, and they'll be a Triple Crown Champion, as they'll be the AEW Continental Champion, the Ring of Honor World Champion, and the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. The confusing part is I believe that is the prize at the end. So, for instance, Eddie Kingston, let's just say, I'm going to use two people that are already in the tournament. Eddie Kingston, who is obviously the Ring of Honor World Champion, New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. He's going into these matches, I do not think, as champion anymore. I think he has vacated it till the very end. If he wins, like, the lineage would continue. Because the way it got very confusing when he cut the promo and he was saying it. But if you are to think in the mind of Eddie Kingston, hey, I'm not going to lose any of these matches. I'm just going to keep being champion and become the Triple Crown Champion. So, you understand what I'm saying. So, that was a little bit confusing, but I do appreciate the fact of the Triple Crown lineage being involved. It is very reminiscent of older Japanese wrestling. Not as old, but I very, very, very much imagine, and I was talking to people about it. I'm like, this is the main reason they did it. It's not the main reason, but in my mind it is. There's the older Japanese wrestling, and there'd be several Triple Crown winners. There's one in particular in my mind of Vader. When he was Triple Crown Champion, he had one championship on his shoulder. He had the other two on his waist, so he had the trophy with him. I feel they're trying to replicate that moment. It won't be exactly like that, but hopefully, I'm a mark for historic and badass wrestling pictures, so hopefully they do something very similar to that. But like I said, I know it's done with Kenta Kobashi, Misawa, like, the one that's in my mind is the one of Vader. So I feel they will do that in the grand scheme of things. So disclaimer 1, I promoted my World's End fantasy booking video. Disclaimer 2, if somebody you like is not in this tournament, I might have them involved in the World's End event. Then disclaimer 3, I'm still a little bit confused about the championship thing, but I don't think it is as confusing as it seems. So let's get into this tournament. But prior to getting to the tournament, I remembered the 4th disclaimer, but it kind of goes involved with it. I also kind of wanted it to, hey, the fantasy book starts forming this in, so that's why I did that. So, in the G1 Climax, I feel this tournament will be compared to the G1 Climax a lot. Every year, they kind of have a wild card entry. They don't specifically name it that, but there's normally 1 to 2 guys that are involved in the tournament that do not normally work for New Japan, or better yet, are not contracted by New Japan, and they're involved in the tournament. So the best example of this is this year, Eddie Kingston was announced, and he was a part of the G1 Climax, and it was a big deal. So I have kind of done the same thing, and I have a wild card involved on each block A and block B, who are not contracted by All Elite Wrestling. And I feel the main reason this might bother people is because it's taken away from the AEW roster because AEW has a crap ton of wrestlers already, kind of taking spots away. I understand it if you take it as a diss. But I feel the two names that I have picked are very respected, and the matchups they would provide would be great enough that the hatred would not be enough. So let's get right into who and how I would book this Continental Classic. Block A. And in my opinion, I call this block, the Ring of Honor alumni block. I will also, this is a smaller disclaimer, as of right now, I have no clue when the hell the rest of the participants will be listed. I plan on uploading this on Monday. As of Monday, 4 guys are announced. Those 4 guys, I have involved in this. Do not worry about that. Block A. Bryan Danielson, the first man who was announced in this. Eddie Kingston, the man who relinquished technically his Ring of Honor World Championship and his New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. And I remember the other damn disclaimer. I have no clue what the hell they're going to do at Final Battle with the Ring of Honor World Championship. I don't think it's the biggest deal. I only mention that because I review Ring of Honor every week. I'm a big ROH mark. Mark Briscoe, one of the other talents that have already been announced for this. Now we have the other 3 that haven't been, that are involved in Block A. Samoa Joe, who I know you're like, why would he do this? He's got an AEW World title shot on the line. I want to see his ass in this tournament. Roderick Strong, and then the wild card for Block A, Kenta, the first man to technically enter the Forbidden Door in AEW, and he has a history. Like I said, I mentioned the Ring of Honor alumni. All these guys have been in Ring of Honor at one point or another, but Kenta has been working a lot of matches in the States as of recently. In the last month, he faced Chris Sabin at Impact Bound for Glory. He is a champion in Defy Wrestling, and he has a matchup coming up in West Coast Pro Wrestling, teaming with Chris Hero. So, and I believe I checked the New Japan schedule. I did not see him involved on it. So, unless I missed it, he should be free, I feel. But I just feel there's a lot of good matchups. I take more pride in how I booked Block A than I did Block B. So, notable matchups in Block A. Bryan Danielson versus everybody. We're technically on the final countdown tour once again for Bryan Danielson, as this is supposed to be his last full-time active year in wrestling. Let's try to get as many singles matches as we can and keep him safe. But I feel that this tournament's kind of an easy way to do that because you just go week after week after week. But to be fair, like I said, he has history with with everybody involved in this block. We can get the rematch between him and Eddie Kingston, which they had a great match 2 years ago in a tournament for AEW. I believe it was I'm trying to think. It was for Full Gear, that tournament they did every year. Number 1 Contenders tournament, I believe is what they called it. Him versus Samoa Joe, him versus Roderick Strong, him versus Mark Briscoe. They've all collided at least once prior in Ring of Honor. But the main matchup I would want to see, Bryan Danielson versus Kenta. 2 men that have had history in Ring of Honor. I know they had a match in 2007, but their most notable match was Glory by Honor 2006. And I did mention Final Battle a little bit earlier. If I could make like one thing happen at that event, it would be this matchup. Bryan Danielson versus Kenta, a part of the AEW Continental Classic. Because like I said, they're both involved in Ring of Honor. It'd be in the tournament. I don't know what the hell they're going to do for the Ring of Honor World Championship for Final Battle. And I know neither of them are the Ring of Honor World Champion at the moment, but I just want to see this matchup happen. And for it to take place in Ring of Honor again, I feel would make it a little bit more special. Now, other notable matchups, Eddie Kingston versus Kenta, because Eddie Kingston defeated Kenta to become the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. Eddie Kingston versus Samoa Joe. It is not a first-time dream match because they've had a match prior, but I feel first time in AEW and a first time in a long time, it would be a big deal, a matchup I would really like to see. Eddie Kingston versus Mark Briscoe, as Mark Briscoe I'm not going to say he's technically the number 1 contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship, but he is scheduled to have a Ring of Honor World Championship match earlier this year at Death Before Dishonor, but he did not participate due to injury, so this technically would be making up for that. But a matchup that did happen earlier this year was Mark Briscoe versus Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. Again, that would be another shot of redemption for Mark Briscoe. And speaking of redemption, the last notable matchup I have for the Block A is Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe 3, as they have faced off twice in AEW, and Samoa Joe beat that ass both times, and Samoa Joe is the main reason that Roderick Strong is neck strong at the moment. So hopefully Roderick Strong could learn a couple of things and maybe finally be able to defeat Samoa Joe. So Block A, I had Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe, Samoa Joe, Roderick Strong, and the wild card Kenta. Another notable matchup would be Kenta and Roderick Strong. I didn't know if I had to spell that out for you or not. Now we get to Block B. Now, I will say this. Block B, definitely talent-wise, is at the equal value, and matchup-wise, is still at the equal value. It's just not as much storytelling, so I won't go as in detail with the notable matchups. But here we go at Block B. Kenny Omega. Yes, I said it. Kenny Omega. Now, you're probably wondering, but, I'm making some damn exceptions. I've been saying this for the last month, maybe 2 to 3 months. I want singles Kenny Omega match. I want Kenny Omega back in singles competition. I do not care that him and Chris Jericho have the number 1 contendership for the tag team titles. I've also said, hey, if Kenny Omega is going to be in a tag team, can you just make it with Kota Ibushi? And that just hasn't happened. So I'm compromising, and I'm putting Kenny Omega in this tournament. I also believe he is the only contracted wrestler to win the New Japan G1 Climax that is in AEW, because I do not believe Will Ospreay or Jay White have won the G1. I might have looked that up just so I don't look head-ass, but, it is what it is. There's also a loud-ass car outside. I'm going to look G1 Climax winners. This is a live update. Also went to 20 G1 Climax. The other participants, Penta L0M. Now, I know that he's in a tag team with his brother Ray Phoenix, but sadly Ray Phoenix has been injured the past couple of months. Okay, I lied. And this one is definitely a technicality. Kota Ibushi did win the G1 Climax. I did forget about that. I apologize. But, he's literally been signed to AEW less than a week. So at least I double-checked and I corrected myself. Back to Block B. Kenny Omega, Penta L0M, Andrade, who was already announced, Buddy Matthews. Now, I'll say this. Any of the members of the House of Black could fit and would do very well in this tournament, but Buddy Matthews is kind of the singles competitor of the House of Black because Malachi Black and Brody King are tag teaming Kings of the Black Throne. I was feeling like, let's do something with Buddy Matthews. Daniel Garcia. I'm not going to stand up and do the dance. I'm sitting down at the moment, but this is the closest I can get to it. Then we get to the damn wild card, and damn it. This is the one I feel I'll get the most critique and hate over. But if you hate on this man, I feel there's definitely a problem. And it is Rob Van Dam, a man who's competed a handful of times in AEW already. And let's just get him a couple more matchups before, we don't get the chance to do that. I don't know. Again, the main reason I'm anticipating hate for this is because I'm neglecting the current and actual signed AEW talent to bring in people that are not involved in AEW. I can understand that. But from a dream match scenario and matchups I would personally rather see, I was throwing Rob Van Dam in here. Like I said, Rob Van Dam versus Kenny Omega. I think that writes for itself. I don't know many people that wouldn't want to see that match. I feel that Rob Van Dam versus Andrade and Buddy Matthews would also be crazy-ass matchups. And then, like I said, I'm not going to go in-depth as really with the notable matchups because there's not as much history with this side as there was with Block A. But Kenny Omega does have history with Andrade El Idolo and Penta L0M as he defeated them before in singles competition. But Kenny Omega versus Buddy Matthews. For the longest time, a lot of people were saying that Buddy Matthews was a doppelganger of Kenny Omega. So let's get that matchup in singles competition. So for Block B, I suggest Kenny Omega, Pentel 0M, Andrade, Buddy Matthews, Daniel Garcia, and Rob Van Dam. So, the last thing, who should be in the finals for this? I feel it does right for itself. Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. I think that should very much be the finals. I've seen several other people suggest this as well. I also don't know if they were saying, oh my God, Kenny Omega is in a tag team now. I don't know if this is possible. But I think that's the matchup we want. That is probably top 3 matchups that we want to see in 2024 for AEW. And, hey, we got a month of 2023 left. Let's get it done before 2024 even happens. So, I will just say this. I think this tournament will be great with or without me. If, what I said happens a lot in this tournament, I'd be happy. I could, pat myself on the back and say, see, y'all enjoyed this, didn't you? But, I feel a lot of what I said won't happen, and it will still be great, and, I won't complain about it. But the main thing that I want, and this will wrap up the video, I want Bryan Danielson to win this damn tournament. I, for a long time, have wanted to see Bryan Danielson be Ring of Honor World Champion again. Last year, it was teased several times. He had 2, maybe 3 matchups for the Ring of Honor World Championship last year when Chris Jericho was the Ring of Honor World Champion. Remember that? And they kept teasing and teasing and teasing. And I kept getting pissed when he did not leave as the Ring of Honor World Champion. So if he was to win this tournament, he's able to pick that up. Also, he is scheduled to have a match up at Wrestle Kingdom. He's already got one foot in the New Japan door. Give him a New Japan Championship. Give him the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship. I know that's not in the main New Japan. It's mainly the US-based New Japan version, but it counts. And then give him... I think personally, with the AEW Continental Championship, I don't think it's going to be an actual, regularly defended championship. I think it's going to be like the Owen Hart Foundation tournament winners, how when they win the tournament, they get a championship. So I don't think this is going to be a regularly defended championship. But I might be wrong. But I really want Bryan Danielson to win this tournament, So we'll see what happens. Like I said, if there's some people that I didn't name in this tournament, it means I probably have them involved in something else for World's End. If you want to know what I have planned for World's End, check on my How I Would Book World's End fantasy booking video come tomorrow. Like I said, I plan on having a video every day this week. Hopefully that comes true. This is the first one. I was trying to get this one out I was trying to get this one out because I did not want my World's End fantasy booking video to be extremely long, and I don't know when the hell these participants are going to be announced, so I wanted to get mine thrown out there before the actual ones get thrown out there. So let me know who you want to win the tournament, who you want to see in the tournament, and do you agree with some of the things I said or not in the comments down below. So hopefully you liked this video and you subscribed. Hopefully you also stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.